I'm going out, I gotta go. I'll bang a rang on the radio. So turn it up, I'm telling you. I think I'm ready for something new.
Hi everyone, I'm Noelle, the host of Hot Pumpkin Pizza, and today I'm joined by Detour North, a band from Chicago, and we're here at Zazzo's Pizza in Westmont, and I've never actually been here before, and you guys haven't either, right?
No, absolutely not.
And did you get your pizza yet?
No.
I mean, like, did you order?
I didn't
pizza?
order anything. I'm not very hungry, but
Big liquid dinner tonight.
yeah,
So-
exactly.
What pizzas did you guys order?
Barbecue chicken.
Pizza margarita.
Pizza margarita.
What kind of pizza did you order? Pizza margarita.
Told you,
I got margarita too.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Classy-
I've never had
classy
margarita
pizza.
pizza.
That's the best.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty solid.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, tell us what your names are and what your roles in the band are.
I'm Anthony. I play bass.
I'm Danny and I play drums.
I'm Emmanuel and I sing and play guitar.
I'm Cam. I do lead guitar and backing vocals.
Cool. And how did you guys meet each other, and how did you decide to become a band?
Man, that goes way back. Way
Yeah.
back. Like we all went to school. We all went to, like, well, other than Cam, the three of us, we all went to grade school together.
Okay.
I think I've known Anthony longer than I've known anybody in my entire life, other than like my parents. Like kindergarten, I think, preschool.
Preschool, kindergarten,
Might even be.
yeah. Because I know, me and Danny have known each other since like preschool, so.
Cool.
And we all just like had an interest in music, and kind of it just happened naturally, like over time. And then we met Cam in college, and that just kind of meshed really well.
Yeah. So, you guys were a band for like 7 years before you ended the band, right?
Yep. Yes, about yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this is like your first interview in 5 years, which is crazy. You had your farewell show about 4 years ago in Chicago. So what led you to your decision to end the band?
Man, to end the band, that's a heavy question.
Yeah. We're diving right in.
I think there's like a lot of things that kind of contributed to it. Part of it was just we were at like a stage in all of our lives where you're graduating high school, you're in college now, and it's like, what are you gonna do? Everybody got jobs, everyone got real busy. Roman got kind of busy and was outside of the band for a little bit, and then things kind of just dwindled away, and we kind of found different.
Well, part of that
interests.
too is like we wanted to go and branch off and do different style of music and like basically reform the band. But that pressure on top of like COVID literally happening like right after
Yeah,
was
that's
a
true.
very hard setback for us.
Yeah.
And then
We
it became just a mess. So.
Yeah, we ended in 2019, and we were like, we wanted to do like another project, and then just the world went to shit,
Right.
basically. So it was like that changed a lot. But I think honestly, specifically with Detour North ending, my take at least is I felt like we had said everything we needed to say with the band.
Yeah.
And it was like we were thinking about like, okay, theoretically, if we were to do like another record, where would we go from here? And there wasn't like a clear direction. We just kind of felt like, man, we left it all on the field. Like we said everything we had to say.
Yeah.
And it just felt like the natural stopping point.
Yeah.
And moving on further with it, I didn't want to feel like we were forcing it, you know.
Right.
So it just felt like a natural close, and it was cool to have like an actual ending and like closure to it. That was cool.
Yeah, and we had like around that time, like with It's History's Poetry, like I don't know, I feel like that was, we all had a lot to say, and I think we said it then, but it was like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and I don't know.
I was burnt out.
Yeah, honestly,
We spent
yeah.
2 years making that record.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what led us to it. Is it took us so long
3 years,
to get
I
from
think.
point A to point B, where we're like,
Yeah.
we're having this much trouble trying to make it look a certain way, make it sound a certain way. Like we were trying to stay, create like a whole vibe with the record and like make it cohesive.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to do.
Yeah, and that's like that just like our creative process at the time definitely took a toll on all of us. I remember like times where it would be like 4 a.m. and I would like text Emmanuel like freaking out about like some small detail like on the record, and he would be up too, and he'd be like, dude, like yeah, I'm
thinking about the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because in hindsight now I'm like, half of those decisions were inconsequential. Like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and I think we just all we needed a break. We just needed to take a step back.
Yeah, and I think like, you know, our creative process kind of being like tough on us with that record kind of like set a tone where like I think if we did anything else we would have just ended up in the same place and just burnt out. So like we just needed a mental health break, and I think like that we just kind of like the band was tough on us and we kind of wanted just a fresh start, and like I mean
I think we found that too. I mean, like individually, like we all
absolutely
found a fresh start after the band, and
a lot of us went like our own route creatively, like doing our own thing, which was really great to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what have you guys been up to since the band ended? Like, do you still play music?
I know you definitely.
Yeah. So actually, like our last show was with a group called Mass Attack. It was John and George. And unfortunately, John passed away, but he still played the last show. Like, he didn't want to do music anymore, but he played the last show because we're all best friends with him. And we all joined him on stage and, like, sung the songs. And so after the fact, I didn't have a band. He really didn't have a group. So we kind of met and we're like, well, we still want to do music.
We all kind of, like, were in his, like, group at some point, you know, helping him out.
So I ended up learning how to, like, produce beats from Anthony, actually. Anthony would be like making beats and they'd be so dope. And he showed me how to use like Ableton, so he kind of grandfathered me into like becoming a producer. I owe honestly everything to Anthony, because if he wouldn't have left all his shit at my house, I wouldn't have. I would not have like been curious to like figure that out. But I'm glad I did. So yeah, I became like a producer and an engineer, and then kind of like grandfathered into being like a member basically of Mass Attack.
I mean, you literally have a job as an engineer at a studio now.
So I took it for real.
I don't do music really much anymore, not at least publicly. Like, I still do it a little bit for myself. But funny enough, my favorite part of being in Detour North, as much as I love the music aspect of it, was anytime we got to make like music videos and do like, you know, this sort of thing, or like just making content and stuff. And so I started to really gravitate towards that. I shot 2 of the 3 music videos that we did, and I was really proud of those. And so I started shooting music after the band ended. I started shooting music videos for other bands, and I got really into like video production and that side of it, and started doing like content creation. And now that's what I do for a living, is making content. And I feel like I got here to this place because of starting with this band. So that was a cool like natural kind of progression for me.
Yeah, that's cool how you like. You wouldn't have guessed that you would end up doing like content creation unless you did
exactly. And it's because of this band. So it's still like in the long run was like, wow, this was like such a necessary like part of my journey.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're having an anniversary show September 2nd at Beat Kitchen, which is super exciting. That is also featuring Mass Attack and also Bad Planning. And so yeah, Mass Attack also played at your farewell show too, right?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And
he's a homie.
I love George. He's one of my favorite people. It'll be cool too, because you'll be like performing with him.
Yeah, so I'll be playing 2 sets that night.
Yeah.
And
cool.
and it'll be full band, hopefully.
Yeah.
Which will be really exciting, because when Mass Attack is a full band, I don't know if Danny's going to play drums for us or what the deal is going to be, or if Anthony's going to be on bass, because literally Detour North was kind of like the backing band for Mass Attack at one point.
In a way, yeah.
Like, that was going to be the game plan. We were practicing together, and then COVID happened. So not only did that kill like the Detour North reboot project, but then it kind of killed Mass Attack for like a whole 1.5 years, 2 years.
Right.
Found your footing though. I'm just excited because like I think what was really fun about the farewell show, and I hope what we get from the reunion show, is having just like a mixed genre lineup. Like this Mass Attack is it's like rap and it's hip hop, and then obviously then for us in Bad Planning to have like an alternative side. It's just cool. It's just cool. It brings like 2 different worlds together, and I really enjoy it. It was super successful at our farewell show.
You don't see that much.
No, you don't see it. But everybody had such a blast. So I'm just excited to do that again.
Yeah, and also like hip hop and rap has always been a big influence for Detour North too. So like honestly, like at face value, it might not make sense, but it feels right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what led you to decide to do an anniversary show?
Honestly,
It'd be fun.
It just seemed fun.
Yeah.
It seemed really fun. It is technically, this year's the 5-year anniversary of It's History, It's Poetry, which was our last record. And honestly, we just all were like, how fun would that be to just do that again? And we're kind of using the 5-year anniversary as our excuse to do it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of just how it came. I think Anthony just texted the group chat one day and was just like, what would it take for us to make this happen? And then within like an hour, we were all just like planning it. And it was just like, all right, here we go, we're making it
I
happen.
mean, I think it comes with like what Anthony said, like we all kind of needed a mental break from it, because again, we put a lot of pressure, and like we took a long break, but it felt like natural to come back and do this. It didn't feel like pressured to come and do like an interview or a show or do all this. It feels like normal.
And now it feels like we can have fun with it again. You know?
I just want to say, like, shout out to all the fans and like people still supporting this project, because without them, like,
Still listening to Detour North.
this stuff would not happen. So just want to say, like, thank you for that, because they are a huge help.
And they're part of the reason why we're doing this in general.
Absolutely.
Because we
Honestly,
thought that they would love it.
The response too of like some of the fans that have like retweeted like when we announced it, or like hit us up on Instagram and stuff, has been like so positive and so supportive, and like kind of overwhelming too, because it's like, wow, like it's so cool that people even 5 years later like are this stoked about us playing a show. And I'm pretty sure some of our Spotify numbers have been better since after we ended the band since before.
They've gone up.
Which is crazy, and it's just super cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. So this is just a one-time thing, right? Like, or do you guys plan on doing an anniversary show? Like, for
I thought
every
about that like
anniversary?
on the way here. It's like, okay, we're doing an anniversary show for It's History, It's Poetry. It's like, well, what about the other 2 records?
I don't know.
The first one, I don't know, because I feel like we kind of probably already missed that.
Only
boat.
time will tell.
Honestly, yeah.
Listen, I'm taking this one day at a time. Like I didn't even know this was gonna happen. So
And you know, like anything pertaining to like Detour North, like we don't have the pressure on us for it to be a full-time thing anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I don't know, we're all best friends still. Like I see these guys more often than like other friends. Like these are just my friends. So I mean, like if anything does come, which like I'm no guarantee or anything, but like it's all at our own pace and it's all for fun now. And that's like, I don't know, that feels very freeing.
Yeah, for sure. So now I want to talk about your time in the band. So over the years, what has been your favorite venue to play at?
Mine has been Bottom Lounge.
Bottom Line?
Bottom Lounge feels weirdly like a home base. That was like an HQ for us. Like
I love playing there. Just like it's really intimate, but like the sound is always really good, and just I don't know. It's like
felt
playing
like
in someone's basement almost. That's how I feel.
I
And we
haven't
played
been
with
there,
like the
but
biggest bands there too. Like some of our biggest shows, like with like bands that we looked up to, like listening to, like in 7th, 8th grade, all through high school, we got to play with like some of those bands there.
super cool.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and like I love Bottom Lounge. Like playing House of Blues. A few times we played House of Blues. Like they were like awesome shows at the same time. That's like the one show that like people who like don't like. I don't know. It's cool to say you played House of Blues. Like people get that that's cool.
Yeah, like my dad will brag to people like my son played at the House of Blues,
Yeah.
and like his
Exactly,
friends are like, whoa.
Yeah, that is really
They were
cool.
big shows though, to be fair.
They were.
Yeah, they, honestly, some of our most, like, I would say, like, our best performances, like, most successful, like, that was a crazy show and people had a great time, were at House of Blues.
Yeah, and I think I saw on Instagram, like, wasn't that a competition to see, like, which band would
Yes.
get
Road to Warped Tour.
It was the Road to Warped Tour
yeah.
battle. That was literally, like, that
The
was
biggest
our...
upset of the century.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
our Rocky Balboa show. Like we went the distance. Like we had the best. I still think that might have been the best we ever played. Like killed it that night. I'm still so proud of us just because we fucking killed it. And like the response from the crowd was amazing. Like people flooded our merch table afterwards, and we lost. And like that's
But we came in a close second.
we came in a close second. But if that's not a movie ending, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. That sucks that you didn't win, but, you know.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
It's all
Like
good.
you
It was
said,
still
a great
validating.
show,
It
so-
was still
We played an
validating.
amazing show, so like I'm so
Yeah,
proud of it.
that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your favorite song that you guys have written?
So recently I've been going back and listening to a lot of It's History, It's Poetry. And I gotta say, like, my favorite song that like really gives the Detour North sound is the title track, It's History, It's Poetry. Like, that just speaks volumes and like what we are, about as a band, and it's just like, I don't know, very defining for us. That's gotta be my favorite track.
Yeah, with like what we were trying to do at the time, I feel like that was a song that kind of captured it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
It
probably,
just felt lively and
it's honestly my favorite song as well, only because, like, I don't know, I just love all the leads that I wrote for that song. I love all the harmonies that I put in that song. I think it's like probably the best arranged Detour North song.
Yeah.
It's like the most, it just, I don't know, it's just my favorite Detour North song, honestly, aside from July.
I was gonna say July.
July felt like a more edgier version of us, but in all like the right ways possible. Like, we weren't like trying
Yeah.
to be hard, but like it was, I don't know, that one is also one of my
What did you say your favorite was?
July.
It's History, It's Poetry, or
yeah.
July.
I would say, because I agree, I think It's History, It's Poetry is probably our best song objectively, but my favorite is July. For the same reason. Like, I don't know, I feel like there's like a hip-hop edge to it too that I think is in the song.
I think it's the relatability for me, because we were going through the same things,
And
and,
we were
you
both in
wrote
college.
about it, and when I heard it, I was like, oh my god,
Yeah, we were both
I can relate to this.
we were both in college and we were both struggling, like not having a good time. And my approach to that song too was like, you always hear all these songs, especially in hip hop too, about like just like how college is awesome. It's like the best time of your life and everything. And I was like, I need to write a song for people who are not having a good time in college.
Yeah.
Like, I've never heard that song. And that's kind of what the song was about. And then it had like a cool kind of hip hop influence to it. And yeah, I don't know. It's just that one I think means a lot to me, personally.
That's really cool. That's a really cool topic to write about, because I feel like I've never heard a song that's like about that.
Yeah, neither have I. And I was like, there's a lot of, we never really got super into like any sort of like social commentary about stuff. Like, usually our songs are pretty personal, but that was the first time where I was like, let's just talk about like the American education system and how some people just feel oppressed and like lost in it. Like, it's just this very overwhelming and can frankly not be great on your mental health at times. And I've never heard a song explore that, so it was cool to be able to write that song.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite album you've written?
It's History, It's Poetry.
Yeah,
I think that's
easy.
objectively.
I mean, like, so like our first two EPs, like, we were kids.
Yeah.
Like,
We were learning a lot.
Yeah, like, how
And they
old
sound
were you
good.
when you started the band?
What's that?
How old were you when you started the band?
Technically 14?
Oh, wow.
just 14 when you wrote Quit
Yeah,
Dogging It?
technically 14.
Yeah, so I mean, like, we were kids, and like, there was a point, like, when It's History, It's Poetry, when we were writing it, we were like, okay, like, this is like what we have been trying to do.
Yeah.
And like, we had even talked about like trying to do It's History, It's Poetry under like a different band name, or like just like as a different project, just to kind of like not that we're not proud of anything we did before that, but it was just like a new thing, and it was like what we were trying to capture beforehand.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's so integral. Like, it's really like part of like what we were doing beforehand. Just like kind of like we nailed it this time. So I mean, yeah, that was like the thing we did. That it was like, oh, like, this is like, we actually have the like ability to make the music we've been trying to make.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree. It felt like our first two records were like our attempts at it.
Exactly.
And like we
yeah.
tried to get that sound and like fell short in some ways. Not that they aren't good records. There's a lot of songs on there that I still love, and I'm like, there's some I listen to and I'm like, damn, we wrote that when I was 17. Like, that's nuts. But It's History, It's Poetry feels like when we finally nailed it. Like, we finally got the sound we wanted. So definitely that one.
So, have there been any like weird or funny things that have happened to you when you were on tour?
Oh, we got stories
I'm
for
sure.
days on this.
Man,
It's like,
There's something
what
always
do you want
is
to tell,
happening.
though?
Always.
The first thing that comes to mind, and it's not a fun story. This is a little bit odd. When we were in Philly, like, we played a show at like a bar, and the next morning we woke up and found out that somebody was killed like down the block from us that night.
Yeah, that was a sketchy neighborhood.
That night?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, while
That's
we were
scary.
there.
Yeah.
So that was scary.
I'm sorry, that's not a fun one. I'm sorry.
Very morbid.
It's like
Yeah, but that's like the first one that ever comes to mind.
I remember we had to drive through Rochester, New York in a blizzard, a snowstorm, and like Anthony was driving, I was his co-pilot. I think you motherfuckers were asleep in the back, like it was just like not even.
Yeah, I definitely went to sleep because like my anxiety was so high. Like I
Yeah.
was watching them
Yeah.
drive and I was like, we're gonna fucking die. I'd rather be asleep and die. So I went to sleep.
See anything out of the front windshield.
No, that's
there were
scary.
semis just like zooming past us. The van would shake.
There
We
were
were on a sheet
semis
of
on the
ice.
side of the road.
Yeah.
And I just remember the entire time thinking, genuinely, like, this could be how we go. This could be. And there was a moment where you started sliding on the ice too. Like it was bad. And
Yeah.
you saved it. We got there safe, obviously. But that
There
was
were like multiple times where I was like, oh, we're going off the road.
yeah.
Okay.
And then we got stuck in like a really bad torrential downpour. I think we were going from like Ohio to Kentucky. And Roman and I, we switched because he was exhausted. And literally we were like hydroplaning like the whole way there because you couldn't see either because the rain was so heavy. And I was driving, I thought, oh, this is it, you know?
This is it
We're gonna
for
go, and it's way too soon.
The amount of times on tour where I thought this could be it is pretty staggering.
Yeah, I mean that's really cool. Like we didn't do like a ton of touring, but like it really does put in perspective like bands that are like career like touring
Yeah.
bands. Like it's
Like, how do
actually
you
like
do that?
yeah, it's actually
you're
like a
putting your life on the
dangerous
line out there.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I
honestly.
imagine there's a lot of.
It's pretty rough. There was also the time that we had to share a bed in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and I definitely
Oh my God.
woke
I was
up
in
with
the same
Kem
room.
just like cuddling with me, and I was like, Kem, you forgot I'm not your girlfriend tonight.
Some of the funnest stories though
And
come
what
from.
stays, what happens on tour
Yeah.
stays on
Hey,
tour.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining about it. It's just-
But like yeah, like we'd play shows, especially like on some of those shorter tour runs, and we would just like go out afterwards and just I don't know have the best times, like
Oh, you know what my
parties
favorite time
and
was?
everything.
Bloomington was fun.
Yeah.
Bloomington was fun, but when we were in Eau Claire, I don't know why we thought it was Chicago. We were all walking around with beer.
Oh man.
And, we were looking out for cops, but Danny's just chugging a Miller Lite, and Danny actually got a ticket. Like, what was it, like $280?
That's crazy.
I got it
I
all
almost got
on
out of it,
Snapchat.
but,
That
yeah.
shit was hilarious.
It was bad. Drinking a beer in public.
in a college town. It's like, why would they care in a college town?
Yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. But
Also, like, yeah, I remember we played a show and we went out that night, and like, just throughout the night, we were like, "Where is Kem?" And then, like, every once in a while, we just see him, and he would just be dancing by himself,
By
just
himself.
surrounded by a circle of
Bloomington.
people.
Yeah, people would be in a circle around Kem, and he's just feeling himself. It's great.
that's hilarious. So, what is your favorite memory of being in the band?
Oh man.
I can tell you my worst memory.
Sure.
Got plenty of those.
Go for it. Go for it.
My worst memory, honestly,
Oh boy.
was when we played House of Blues for the Warped Tour thing.
Oh yes, I know this.
It's interesting because I was
I-
almost going to say this as my favorite memory, but continue.
Oh, great. I'm glad that was a fucking great time for you. So, anyway, I had breakfast that morning. It was that fucking
Bad
butter.
butter.
That bad butter. Spread that shit on my toast.
Bad
And
butter.
literally the whole rest of the day, I was like projectile vomiting and also out of the back end as well. So it was, I don't know if that was our...
That was this Jordan show.
Yeah,
was that our
Game
first
Boy.
time? No, that wasn't our first time
was
playing
our-
House of Blues.
Second time at that.
But I was upset because it was for Warped Tour. We had a bunch of cool bands. Like, everyone's having a great time, and I was on the couch, barreled over or in the bathroom the whole time. And then when we went on stage, it was like I got relief. The adrenaline was going, and I played like probably the best set of my life.
Wow.
And then after I went back to projectile vomiting. But that was probably the worst / best because that was the best performance I ever did.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, I'm
People
glad
were
you didn't
going nuts.
projectable vomit as you were playing.
No, it
That
would have
would've
been kind of sick.
bad.
It would have been sick.
And that photo that Caitlin took was the best photo I've ever taken
Yeah.
on stage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was funny. I was kind of going to say that as my favorite memory because I was like, nobody knows. Like, that was the best show we ever played, and nobody knows you were dying. You were so sick. But since you took that one, I'll say my other favorite memory was probably when we played in Eau Claire. Because we played at just like, was it like a frat house or a sorority?
It was a
house?
sorority
Like, I don't know
house.
what it was.
No, it wasn't a sorority
Or it was
house.
just a big college house.
It
I don't
was
know.
actually like this big like multi-complex where like a bunch of girls lived. It wasn't a sorority though.
I don't know what it was, but
What was it?
It was a big house.
We have to ask Roman on that one.
It was a party house.
It was a party house for sure. It was
Party
a party
house.
house in a college town, but like that was one night where like there were so many people there, and there's just like all these college kids just looking for something to do, and they all ended up at this house in a basement, and it was like, you would think it'd be like a shitty little rinky-dink show in a basement, but it just ended up, the energy was so cool, the people were so cool, we played a great set.
It was like American Pie.
Yeah,
It felt like
the best way
American
it was.
Pie in real. It was like the closest I ever got to feeling like real life, like American Pie. Like
It was the only good college experience we ever had.
yeah,
It wasn't
Yeah.
even at
you know
our
that's
own
why it
college.
was fun. I think that was why it was
exactly
fun
why.
for me because I had such a bad time in college. That felt like I got a good college experience,
Yeah.
so that was cool.
That's good.
Yeah, and it was cool because like at the start of that night, I think maybe like 5-6 people there actually knew of our band.
Yeah.
By
But,
the end
like,
of it,
yeah, like everybody was cool and like really receptive, and it was a fun time. Like everybody was engaged, and like we, like even like, yeah, like we play our music, and it was just like they still had fun. It was
Yeah.
really cool.
That's cool. So what do you think was your biggest accomplishment as a band?
good question.
Probably like record offer or like a deal offer was pretty exciting at the time.
I think something that stands out to me is when we started to get more shows and playing a lot more like in the city, and like other bands reaching out to us and like wanting to play with us. That was like a really feel good like moment, and it made us feel like we were finally, belonging into the
Yeah.
scene. And having that was just like huge. I don't know, that really stood out for me because I had been playing a lot longer than like with some of these guys like I've been together with for a while, but starting out like in grade school playing and just always wanting to make it in a band, and then
Yeah.
when that finally started to come around and there was like bigger shows, it was like, wow, this is crazy, this is real,
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we like we're from Indiana. Like
Yeah.
we played, we were in the pop punk scene, and like, not to throw any shade, but a lot of these other bands come from like a lot of money,
Yeah.
and like we don't have that. Like we didn't come from that. And like there was a long time, a very long time in like our history as a band where like we didn't feel like accepted by the Chicago like suburb scene because we're like not part of that.
Not part of like the upper middle class suburbs. Like that's not where we came from.
Exactly. And like we also, I mean, not only that, but we're from another state entirely. Like we would have to drive like the shows and everything. But like we put in a lot of work. Like towards the beginning of like the band, like we would be at any local show we could get to, like flyering, like handing out flyers, like trying to just make friends. And like there's a long period of time where we didn't feel like we could be part of that.
Yeah.
But like we all worked really hard and we're all talented, and after a while, like a lot of these bands just kind of felt like they were like, all right, well, we can't ignore you anymore. And it was like, look, we worked to get to that point. Like, you can't
That
ignore
was
us
definitely the
anymore.
most validating thing, where it's like people who didn't like us in other bands, it's like you had no choice.
Yeah.
Because our fan base was so strong compared to a lot of the other local bands that you couldn't just
we had,
say,
like,
oh,
core
well, fuck
fans.
Detour North.
I think that's what it was too for me. I think the part of that I love is like, because there were a lot of times where I felt like an outsider in the scene. Like I just felt like we didn't belong, or like I definitely had felt like outsider vibes. But we had such a core following. Like again, I just want to say again, like the people that, especially the people who've been reaching out to us recently and are like so excited about us coming back. Like they were such like hardcore fans. We come to every show, buy merch, like wear their shirts every single time, and like they came for us. We're there, front row, front and center, singing everything, and like we had such a cool, like just core following that was always super supportive, and just even knowing that we built that, and just had like this handful of people that just like loved what we were doing so much. That was a huge accomplishment for me. It was just like, wow, like we reached somebody, and that was really cool.
Yeah, and there's like people like we've met through the band where they like, we were one of their first like local shows. We were one of their first like shows they came to, and they ended up becoming like and making a lot of friends through the scene and everything.
Yeah.
Like that honestly is one of the most like
Satisfying thing ever.
Yeah, it's one of the things I'm most proud of. Definitely.
It's also been crazy too when we would play shows and people would start asking us to sign things, and
Yeah.
that was always just that was cool, mind-blowing experience for
Yeah.
me.
Like, I'm just a dude.
Yeah, we're just a
That's awesome.
band, you know, local band. But,
Yeah. So, who was your favorite band to play a show with?
7 Minutes in Heaven was always fun.
R.I.P.s.
I know.
R.I.P.
I know.
7 Minutes in Heaven. They were
They were just
Literally the
awesome
boys.
people. Just really,
Yeah.
really cool people.
They were I mean, they're not a band anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they were some of the first people to recognize us and like the hard work we were putting in, and they were kind of the first people to like almost take us under their wing a little bit.
Give
Yeah.
us a shot, like put us on a show.
Yeah. Which like one of my favorite bands to play with was Long Gone.
Long Gone and Arvia.
Yeah, but like some of our best friends we made along the way, and then like ironically like now Alex from 7 Minutes in Heaven
Oh, that's
working
right, yeah.
with Long Gone,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's just a cool thing. We're like,
Full circle.
yeah, and some of the coolest people. So it was always like a family thing playing like
Yeah.
with like Long Gone, and so yeah.
So, what song are you most looking forward to playing at your anniversary show?
Autumn Bloom. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Because I have some ideas. Well, not that I necessarily have ideas for it, but I think that the way that we played this time, the way that I have it in my head is going to be very different than how we played it before.
Yeah.
And I'm going to present it to these guys at practice, and we'll see like if they're down with it. But I don't know. I love that song a lot.
Yeah. That will be fun. I think some of the more like intimate songs, like the slower acoustic stuff, is going to be really fun because I just think I know that there's a significant portion of our fan base that like that's some of their favorite stuff. Like I know people who
Yeah.
are like Postcards or like You Look Like Hell is their favorite song, and those are like more stripped down, intimate songs. So
Yeah.
to kind of have a moment where it's like, yo, we haven't done this in a really long time, and now we get to kind of have more of an intimate moment where it's not just the loud noise. I think that's going to be really special.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably July. Just that's
Yeah.
always a fun song to play live. That or Blackmail. I love the high energy like tracks that we play. But like they had said, the slower stuff is always, you know, the loudest because it seems like our fans really enjoy like the slower songs. So hearing that, you know, sung back from the crowd is always really
They'll
fun.
be screaming some of those songs.
It's
Yeah.
like
really
some pretty
cool.
special
Yeah.
moments.
Makes you feel
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, be sure to go see Detour North at their anniversary show at Beat Kitchen on September 2nd. And is there anything else you'd like to plug or mention before we go, like social media or anything like that?
I don't think Danny's had a chance to talk about like what he's been up to since.
Oh, yeah.
the end of Detour
Danny's,
North.
Danny's actually accomplished quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so outside of Detour North, I went ahead and decided to delve more into photography, especially skateboarding photography.
Yeah.
And it's been going really, really well.
That's cool.
I put out a magazine with another friend of ours, and it got so much great feedback. And you know, getting to do something completely different outside of music, like creatively, was just a really good feeling. And I continue to do that. I mean,
And that
even
shirt
if,
you did.
huh?
And that shirt you did with that company from Canada, right?
Oh yeah, and then I had like
Sold out.
like a shirt deal. I had like a photo of mine get printed on a company called Fayo out of Canada. Yeah, it was really cool. So outside of like music, I mean, just trying to stay creative. Photography has been that outlet for me.
Yeah.
So I will continue to do it, even if the band were to continue on making music. I think that will always now be a part of me. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been great.
I love to skateboard, so that's really cool.
Yeah,
that you
no,
do that.
yeah, it's been a really good time. So
Yeah. Concrete Club, look it up.
Concrete Club, yeah.
And last question, was your pizza good?
Yeah.
Pizza was great. It was thin crust too, which is the best.
Yeah. I haven't even started eating my pizza.
I was gonna say,
Like,
you
was
have
asking all
one
these
whole
questions.
slice over
I
there.
know.
It's okay. Ken burned himself on his pizza.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
1 degree burn.
1 degree.
So one
Just one.
It's first degree. Day.
First,
Right.
I know.
Well, thank you so much, guys, for taking
Thank
the
you.
time to do this
Thank
interview.
you.
I really
Thank you.
appreciate
It's
it.
been fun.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys.
Hey, hello, it's nice to meet ya. Hey, come in and have a slice of pizza. Hey, hello, it's nice to meet